Brother Vincent has traveled far and wide. He's a project management team, community development experts, and resource mobilization specialist. So, Brother Vincent, my first question to you is that has the world changed or we are still the same?
I think that the events of the world has changed, but we are still the same. But there's a lot of changes. Obviously, there's a lot of changes around us, and like we all know, change is a constant thing. So there's really nothing that is new.
So from your own perspective, at the end of this lockdown, are we coming back to life the same?
No, life has already changed. The way we are living and the way we are working is already changed. We're seeing now for a very long time in recent history, we've never seen schools shut. We've never seen people not able to write WAEC. We've never seen people not able to even watch football. The things that are very important to human beings, we are not able to do that again. And so there's no way that the world is going to be the same. In my existence, I've never seen where an Olympic event was canceled. And we're seeing that this has been canceled. We're seeing that airlines can't move. Things that we used to hold dear, in foreign travels that we used to hold dear, you just can't do them anymore. So we are forced to stay back in our own countries, in our own homes. So there's no way that the world is going to change, is going to remain the same than after all these things that we've gone through now.
Okay, Dr. Joe, thank you for joining us. I hope you can hear me. Hello, Dr. Joe.
Yeah, I'm having issues with my audio.
Okay. Okay, but can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
So my question
I can hear you. I'm
what's
having
happening
issues
to
with the
medicine?
audio. I can't hear with my earpiece. Hello.
Yeah, what's happening to medicine? We thought that by now, doctors, physicians, lab scientists, you'd have provided a solution, and then we couldn't have been where we are for the past globally for the past 4 months, and in Nigeria for the past 6 weeks. So what's new in medicine and what's happening? How do we come out of this?
Well, thank you for having me here, Dennis.
Yeah.
The actual problem with the development of drugs and vaccine to cope this virus has been the issue of mutation. The virus, as at a few days ago, over 30 strains of the virus have been discovered just in China alone. So you can imagine if adequate studies is being carried out across the world, we may see over 100 strains of this. Now, this means that as scientists are trying to develop a drug or a vaccine against the virus, it mutates, it changes its form completely into a very new virus. And you need to start all over again to study it. So by the time you are getting at the second one, it's mutating into something else and all of that. So it's being also a novel virus. There have been nothing known about it. So it's quite a serious problem now in the world. The medical world is struggling to provide medication as well as vaccine. But to this extent, it's a big challenge because of the aforementioned reasons.
Dr. Joe, I'm still with you. I hear you talking about vaccines. Is that not
yes.
the way of the Antichrist coming into the world?
Well, you see, when we're dealing with issues like this is not the first time we're having a pandemic. This is not the first time we are having epidemics. Usually what is done is as these issues come up, scientists, antibodies are a way in which the body can recognize the offending or invading organism and develop immunity to it. So generally, it is not the first time. So I'm not really looking at the aspect of Antichrist when it comes to vaccine. When it comes to vaccine, almost most diseases have developed vaccines to them. We talk about the flu pandemic, there was a vaccine to it. Meningitis, which is a bacterial infection, there is vaccine. Pox viruses, and so many other diseases that the world have seen. There have been vaccines. Even tuberculosis, there is vaccine, the commonly known BCG vaccine. So I'm not seeing it in that direction, looking at the medical aspect of contending a pandemic.
All right, thank you. So that takes me to Moji. Moji, you are a renowned pharmacist with 19 years experience. You are a regulator and you are very much involved in compliance. With all that we are hearing, are we saying that we are now in the era of self-care?
Thank you very much, Dennis. Definitely, we can't overemphasize the area of self-care, because when it comes to self-care, we need to talk about what is being done as preventive measures, or what can you do by yourself to take care of yourself. So in order to decongest the hospitals or to decongest the healthcare workers, there is need for us as persons to be able to take care of ourselves. And what can we do in the area of self-care? A lot has been said already, a lot is out, a lot of information is out already about what we need to do to prevent the spread of the virus. And those are already instances of self-care, like when they tell us to wash our hands, when they tell us that to maintain distances, when they tell us that we should cover our noses and our mouths. It's a form of self-care. You're taking the responsibility from the healthcare workers and you're taking it upon yourself as a patient, and you're caring for yourself. So that is self-care. So when it comes to this pandemic, what we can do to protect ourselves is to apply all these preventive measures that have been set in place for us. And of course, there's a limit to self-care. And so when you get to the stage that, okay, I'm suspecting that I might come down, or I am down, or I am having symptoms that is probably, that symptoms of the virus, there's a limit to which you just go to the healthcare workers and have yourself tested out. But definitely there is a lot of emphasis now on self-care, and we need to protect ourselves. If we don't, everything cannot be left to healthcare workers. So there's definitely the need for self-care.
Okay, Sister Moji, I want to ask you this. I hear chloroquine, I hear multivitamin, I hear vitamin C. Should I just buy chloroquine and start taking, knowing fully well that the numbers in Nigeria is increasing? As of this evening, it is 981. And I know that by 11 p.m., which is a regular time now, the numbers will increase. So why don't we just all take chloroquine, take vitamin C? And Donald Trump said yesterday we should all go and begin to inject disinfectant. Let's do it now, self-care, and let's start working.
Well, first of all, I'd like to state categorically, just like Dr. Joe has said, that the virus is a novel virus, is a novel disease. Coronavirus, not coronavirus, COVID-19 is a novel disease that is still under research. And as it is now, there is no cure. There's no drug for the cure of coronavirus. That is stated. However, there's so much research being done into the development of drugs. Like there's a drug that I know that right now has failed. They were trying in clinical trials. So presently there is no drug for the cure. And I wouldn't say anybody should go ahead we need to be careful even as we carry out our self-care. Like I said, there's a limit to self-care. And there's a limit to the responsibility, the amount of responsibility that you can take as a patient upon yourself. Rather, give it to the people who have been trained to care for you. And that's why they keep on telling us that when you have any instance, when you take a medication and probably after 2 days, you're not seeing your expected results, go back to your pharmacist, go back to your doctor, go back to the hospital. I wouldn't advise any Nigerian to go upon self-medication by taking drugs like chloroquine just because they have had, because like I said, there is no cure yet, and there's no categorical drug that has been set aside for the treatment of COVID-19. So leave the drugs to the professionals, leave the drugs to those who have been trained to handle it. Do not self-medicate on prescription medication. Even when it comes to vitamin C, I will advise, yes, vitamin C is an antioxidant and it helps in the healing process. And that's why it is advised to take vitamin C when you have symptoms of flu, which is a similar disease to COVID-19. So it's more or less like a palliative. It's not a cure, but in order to, just prepare your body, prep your body, make sure that your body takes care of itself, and make sure that your healing system and your immunity is top notch. You can take vitamin C more or less like a preventive measure to help you, keep your body in place. But do not take any prescription medication that has not been given to you by your healthcare provider.
I want to talk to Ayo. Ayo, you are a businessman with several years of experience in business. Looking at what is happening, I know that at the beginning of the year, the Nigerian economy was supposed to expand by 2.4%. Even at that, we were going to run a budget deficit with about 2.6 billion going to be used, trillions going to be used to defend the naira to keep the stability. As it is now, technically, our currency has been devalued by 20% because the dollar value has moved from officially 305 naira to 380 naira. What is the hope for the small scale industry? Ayo, did you get me? Hello, Ayo, did you get me?
Hello?
Yeah, I was trying to give you the figure.
Hello,
can you hear me now? Okay, you can hear me, I guess.
I can.
Okay, I said technically our naira has been devalued by 20%. There is a global projection of recession, and there's fear that small businesses will die. So I'm asking you, in this new world, in quotes, how will the small business navigate their ways?
Wow. Mr. Dennis, thank you for having me. Truly, the post-COVID-19 will, and there will be recession, definitely, after this era. Already small businesses are dying because for the past 1 month now, people cannot even go to work. The people running businesses, the only businesses that are surviving now are the people providing essential services. So already, because if government refuse to intervene in small scale business, definitely there's no how small scale business will survive. So government has a lot to do in injecting funds and encourage this small scale business owner to push on. Thank you very much.
Brother Ayo, I'd like to ask you a follow-up question to that. Government must intervene for small-scale industries to push on. To what extent are you looking at government intervention? Are you saying that even budding entrepreneurs, this is not a right time to come in?
Pardon?
I'm asking, to what extent do you want government to come in? And what is the hope for budding entrepreneur? I mean, new people with new idea. What's the hope for them with this current economic devastation that is being projected?
All right, for entrepreneur with new ideas, you just have to still source for money to start a business, to start a business. And if we are to do that, if you have a business idea now, you have to source for money to push it on. It's either you meet your colleagues or you look elsewhere, probably, maybe the banking industry. But one thing that is certain now, that even the banking industry, they are not willing to give loan to, you know, small entrepreneurs. And it's going to be very, very have a effect on the people doing business. You may have idea, but if there is no money to push it on, that idea is naturally died. So what do we need to do now? For people that want to come in to do business, we have to study the terrain very well. And how we advise, if we are, you know, doing any business now, we should try to focus on physiological needs. That is the business that can serve people, the essential business, probably like, you know, focus more on agriculture. That's the business that we thrive at, the agriculture. We have to focus more on the surviving, you know, businesses, like people in the pharmacy industry, health business. So those are the business that we thrive now, and that is the business also that I expect government to focus more on, so that the effects will not be too, you know, obvious at the end of the day. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sister Anyekem, thank you for joining us. You are an accountant with several years of experience. You are a mentor, you are a curriculum implementation and developer, a great leader. So, and my first question to you, are businesses, have they changed? Our business models, have they changed? Our ways of doing business, have they changed?
Thank you, Mr. Dennis, for having me. Well, certainly with what is happening in the economy right now, our business model obviously has changed. One of the things that COVID-19 has brought about is the mindset of believing that until you somehow the situation in the country and in the whole world has pushed us to the point where you would need to know that you don't need to be in a particular location to be able to sell. So it has pushed more people that have not had maybe been very serious about social media marketing, online marketing, trying to reach out to greater number of people. COVID-19 has really pushed people to the wall, so that people are forced to go out there and do online courses, to look more into the social media handles that they've really used it for fashion and then what is up, and then maybe gossips and the rest, but they've changed it now into focusing on their business, on what they do, because survival is the ultimate. And in taking your business to the next level, certainly business model have changed. You have to, we're at the point where you're actually looking beyond just the working customers. You're looking beyond the people you know, to reaching out to people you've never met, and then developing strategies on how to be able to sell to these persons that may not be in your present location, in several other locations. So certainly business model has really changed.
Okay, thank you. And my follow-up question to you as an accountant is that, does it mean that now we don't need to save again?
No, no. we still have to save.
Okay.
But you know, for me and as an accountant, saving is, for every saving, there must be a purpose for it. You know, once you save and you don't have a purpose for it, it's more or less, some people say, oh, we save for the rainy days. And if you're not careful, it means you're probably expecting something wrong. But every savings you have must be for an investment. So I prefer to use the word investment. Every of your savings should have some kind of investment mindset on it. So if I'm saving in this account, what am I growing into? What am I taking my business into? Or maybe I'm just a salary earner and I'm just depending on salary. But I believe this has pushed us to the point where you know that if you need to save, you must have several stream of income. So it's not just what is coming from the salary alone. You could be saving to be able to use it to invest. Sometimes it could be a value chain. You may not necessarily have that time to start up your own business, but you can look into another person's business that is a value chain that you can supply. And because of that, you're having income. But we must move from that point of just saving, because once you're just saving and you're keeping the money there, trust me, rainy days will come and you would use the money for something else. But if you're able to invest it in something else, it will produce more money for you. So I don't actually believe in just dumping money in the name of saving.
Okay, I think I have two more follow-on questions for you. And my first on that is, for the past 3 to 4 weeks, those of us in Lagos and Abuja were at home. That means we don't even need an office anymore. We can work from our house. Do you propose that people should begin to close their offices? And then what sort of business would you begin to recommend going forward in this new world?
Wow. Okay. For the first question, I don't think it will be easy to work from the house, because the truth is there are people that have been doing it quite all right, but you know, because we are locked down, you're locked down with the children running up and down. Oh, but we are blessed at this point to have that time to spend with them. But we will still have to go to the forefront to be able to work. I think what this has done is helping us to work both ways, so that you're able to work from the house quite all right. At the same time, you're able to work in a more structured environment, maybe your work location that people may actually want to meet you. There's some business that people run from their home. There's nothing wrong with that. But we must get to the point where we are able to capture both of them. Some persons, they don't even pay rent. Their office is online, 24/7. They work online, they get their things out there, they get deliveries and all that. And then, and that helps a lot. But at the same time, people would also want to interact with other people physically, because the more you get to meet with people, the more you're able to think creatively, the more you're able to challenge. You meet your customers one-on-one, you get to have their feedbacks, and that goes a long way in driving your business to the next level. Then for your second question on what we should be looking at going forward, the truth is, at this point in time, a lot of things will be happening, a lot of things that are taking place already that is making people think of it. For instance, there are people that have just thought of it, oh, nose mask. At some point, nobody really thought that nose mask would ever get to a point where people will make so much money out of it. But I feel good enough, people have come into that line of business and they've discovered now that, okay, we don't just need to import, we must be able to produce. But another line of business that people would look, if you would check fully very well, in the process of the lockdown, one of the group of persons that have not really lost so much per se are people that are into trading in terms of food stuff, agri products, essential house duty things that is needed. So I believe in going forward, we should reduce the factors or the things that we look so much into trying to import things, get so much things, into looking at things that our immediate community will need. In fact, one of the things that I've learned in this period is for every other time I was okay, maybe I want to change location or the rest. There are essential things that if you go to a particular place, maybe to get a new accommodation or for a business, there are basic things that you must look out for to be sure if those things are there, because we've discovered that they are very essential. Little things like maybe water supply. Imagine if you're in a place and outside of your personal borehole and the rest, but you need other water supply. It looks like nothing, but today that's hot cake for some particular environment. That's a huge business because we discovered that we need it to survive. In agri products, the same thing. So I believe one thing, when there's a problem, rather than every other person, rather than us trying to think of all the problem and the rest, great entrepreneurs don't see problem as problem. They see it as a road towards solution. So when you think solution, when you think of what is the opportunity in this problem, we will bring out the best solution out of it. There are people that have carried their savings, like I said, and through it, and they are making money out of it. You know, I have a neighbor that she's not really gone into any kind of form of trade and the rest. But when this happened, we said, wow, it will be difficult for us to feed. So let me buy huge foodstuffs closer to where people will be able to have it to buy with ease, and she's making good money. So in the near future, we must be able to think more of solution-minded and then what people actually need to survive. Daily needs that things that people need.
All right, thank you. Barrister my next question will go to you, and maybe I want to start by asking, are our laws really prepared for the times we are in Nigeria?
Okay. Well, our courts have been are not ready for this pandemic, or we are still operating on the in the archaic system, in the conventional system, where we have to file documents physically. You have to be in court physically to adopt them and all of that. And this has taken everybody unawares. It's only now, just recently, that we've started to think of a way to electronically file documents, electronically adopt them, and electronically get decisions of court. But you know, that's not in tandem with our current system of laws, and it's going to, while trying to solve a particular problem, is going to create another set of problems. But I hope that starting from Lagos State, because Lagos State is usually the pace setter when it comes to the judicial system in Nigeria, starting from Lagos State, if they will wake up from this pandemic, they will think of going forward ways to do things electronically, do things in such a way that you don't need to be in a particular place. You can send in your brief, you know, from wherever you are. You can get them adopted. You can get the decision of court, you know, remotely. So I think that Lagos State will start very soon, and I'm sure the rest of Nigeria will follow. But for now, we are not ready, but I'm sure that this is a wake-up call for us, and I think it will bring up a lot of innovations in the justice system in Nigeria. Thank you so much.
This one goes to you, maybe to you and all the lawyers in the fold. So as a lawyer, what's the new way of practicing law in Nigeria now, during and post COVID-19?
Well, for those of us in the justice sector, we have to move away from what we call litigation into what is known as a transactional practice. Before now, there's been a heavy reliance on just litigation as a way of doing business in law. But there are so many other ways of doing business, and that has been transactional negotiations, mediations, and all of that. And I think it's a wake-up call for us to embrace those new areas known as transactional practice, and also to look at alternative dispute resolution, the use of mediation, conciliation, and arbitration to resolve disputes, and not always to go to court. Court should be the last resort. So it's to embrace the newer ways of solving disputes. Thank you so much.
And then my last quick question to you. I've been involved in a lot of negotiations very recently. So in law now, or legally, will the court accept scanned documents, signed scanned document as legal documents right now in Nigeria?
Yes, yes. There's what the Evidence Act we have in was signed in 2011, 2011, it was enacted in 2011, recognizes what we call computer-generated evidence.
Okay.
Yes, you can scan and send documents. You can scan and send documents, but you have to lay the foundation that the person is unavailable, is out of the country, or where he cannot be present physically. And then you have to attach what they call a certificate of identification or compliance. Once that is done, it's acceptable now. We have embraced that in our new Evidence Act 2011.
Okay, thank you. Pastor Sam. Okay, Pastor Sam, I hope you can hear me. People have said that with COVID-19, Jesus is coming very soon. But I also know a scripture that says we should do business till he comes. So my direct question to you, Pastor Sam, should we all stop doing business and just sit down and wait for the second coming of Jesus?
All right, thank you, Pastor Dennis. I did a teaching recently, and I told them that the Bible says we will see these things, but the end is yet to come. Just like we have heard, I think Dr. Archibald said something, that this is not the first pandemic. I heard there was a pandemic that close to 20 million people died. So what we are seeing is something that has happened before, and what we just need to do is to adjust. The truth is that there is life after now. As a matter of fact, we need to even prepare more for the post-COVID season, because there are a lot of things that will happen after now. Yes, Jesus Christ is coming soon. No time was given, so we don't know the time. So we need to work as if we still have 1,000 years for Jesus to come, and also work as if he's going to come today. The mere fact that he has not come, we just have to put our hands together and keep working until we see him coming. We just have to keep working. Thank you, sir.
I have two more questions for you, Pastor Sam. Has the ministry changed?
I would say yes, because we are seeing a new dimension of ministry altogether. Sincerely, I never thought it would come to a time where you'll be preaching and you will not see anybody sitting on the seats in church. So it's looking strange, but I'm so excited because I'm learning something very new. And it's helping me to know that there are dimensions in ministry that is different from what we were doing before. And for me, I'm seeing it as an opportunity to reach out more than even before. I heard there's a church in the United States of America that has close to 2,500 members, but only 70 or 700 members are in church. The other members are, online members. So we are learning now how to do online meetings, and we're learning how to reach out to everybody that is, out there, in the world. So yes, ministry has changed. We are still doing what we are doing, but in a different way. And I think that is just my answer. It has changed, doing the same thing, but in a different way, in a different dimension.
Okay, I'll come back to you, but because of time, let me look at Dr. Bassi. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Bassi is a medical doctor of repute. He's a lecturer and is a practicing person in the medical field. So my first question to you, before I talk about education, is have we lost him? Have we lost him? Hello, Dr. Bassi? Hello, Dr. Bassi. Okay, I guess I can see him coming back. Can you hear us, Dr. Bassi, or I should? So, Dr. Bassi, why are we not doing rapid testing everywhere in the country? Let's get everybody at once and then treat this thing and we all move on. Why are we doing PCRO testing? Why are we not doing rapid testing?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, did you get my question? Okay, did you get my question?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Yeah, can you come again?
I can hear you. I said, why are we not doing rapid testing in the country? Why are we still looking at molecular biology? If we do rapid testing, we get everybody, we treat this thing, and then we move on. Dr. Bassi, can you hear me? Hello, Dr. Bassi. Okay, maybe I should come to Vincent first, and then when Dr. Bassi joins. Learn secretarial study. So what new skills is relevant in this new world?
Can you come again, sir?
Hello, sir.
Okay, I'm saying, Dr. Vincent. Okay, Dr. Bassi, are you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry I don't really know why the network is fluctuating, but can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you. I'm asking you, why are we as a country not doing RODT? Get everybody, treat them, and then we move on as fast as possible. Why are we using this slow process?
Well, of course, we have our own basic challenge as a third world country, as an underdeveloped country. Of course, first of all, we're not prepared for this pandemic. Secondly, we are not the manufacturers of the rapid test kits. And so production is a challenge. And despite that, can you hear me, please?
Yes, go ahead. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. And even if it's a pandemic, and so all over the world, the demand for this rapid test kit is actually much. You know, the demand is actually on the high side. So what we are still relying on is actually the molecular testing, which actually takes, you know, a longer time. You know, like what you use rapid. The molecular testing is
Hello, can we hear him?
not a rapid kind of testing. That's why. And then two, in the management of these things, prioritize your patients. First of all, you have to prioritize. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, I think I can hear you now. I wasn't hearing you before. I can hear you now.
Yes, I said we need to prioritize our testing. We cannot just keep on going from house to house and what of and that of it because of the the unavailability of those rapid testing. So first of all, what we are doing currently based on the Center for Disease and Control is to prioritize, as we look at the most important cases and then you test them first of all. And what is being done now is that for patients that have been hospitalized with, clear-cut signs and symptoms of COVID-19, unexplained pneumonia, viral pneumonia, especially, and respiratory failure, we want to look at those set of patients first of all. And then healthcare professionals that also have such signs and symptoms, because if we lose them, either to go into self-isolation or either
we lost him? Hello? Have we lost him? Hello? I can't hear you, but is somebody hearing Dr. Bassi? I think we've lost him. Okay, let me go back to Vincent. Vincent, so now we need to begin to narrow down to what we need to begin to discuss. So what are the skill sets that are required going forward? What should we begin to tell our brethren? What should we begin to open their eyes to as the new skill set that is required in this world going forward, both now and after the lockdown?
Okay, thank you so much, sir. It's very important for us to realize a few things that as a country, Nigeria is a developing country, and we are not like the developed nations of the earth. According to the CBN, the three things that Nigeria need the most now is food security. The lockdown is ensuring that with this disease, people cannot plant crops again. So this is a farming season, and the food basket regions of the country, the northern region, they can't go out to farms because of the lockdown. And we don't know if this disease is going to stay until the rainy seasons finish. So that's going to be a problem. We also have a healthcare problem. And then we also obviously have an educational crisis at hand. Now, our country, Nigeria, has a population of close to 200 million people. And 60% of that population is under 35. And so we have a very high youth population with us. Importantly now, as we are seeing the trend, I'm going to encourage a lot of young people to ramp up their technology skills. It's very important. It's a huge market. Schools are going to go into online learning. How do you help them solve those problems? What platforms can you create for people to teach children online? Beyond WhatsApp, beyond teaching on television or teaching on radio. In other climes, in other countries, they are already teaching people doing online learning. So they've already integrated. And so we are not able to integrate that fast. Also, so that's very important. We also need to learn about digital marketing, like our sister just mentioned. You know, social media marketing skills, digital marketing skills are going to be very, very, in high demand. And so we should boost our technology skills. Whatever you do, whether you studied any course, you just need to be able to operate the internet, be able to do graphics design on the internet, and be able to discuss whole meetings in the internet, sell on the internet, and so on. So that's one way. But for us as a country, we need to begin to think about how can we ensure that people have what to eat. And so if you want to do something around that now, begin to think about how do I solve this food crisis that is going to come. So if you are able to provide solutions around irrigation farming, around using technology to ensure that if seeds are supposed to stay 3 months or 2 months, how can we ensure that we are able to get them to be to produce or to yield in 2 months or less? Because that's a problem that we're going to have. So the skills that we need to have, the big one that we need to have right now is solving problems. The world has a problem, which is the coronavirus problem. So anybody who is going to solve that problem, of course, is going to make it for life. That's the way it is. So you need to look at what problems do we have in my locality. People have been told to use masks right now. Now, yes, we are beginning to produce those masks. But if you look at the population of Nigeria, even if all the tailors that are available now begin to produce those masks, there's still going to be a market for masks, because how long are you going to use those masks? You still need to have a number of them for you to dispose of before they get contaminated and so on. So if you're going to wash them, you're going to need to have another mask to to use again. So very importantly, begin to look at within my locality, what problems am I having? And then if you're able to solve those problems, you will be in demand, because if I solve the problems that I have and I talk to another person who has similar problems and I share my ideas of selling the problems to them, then you're going to, you're going to be able to sell, and then you're going to make profit. So what I see a lot of people doing now is the use of technology. And whoever thought that comedians are going to host their shows online? Now, I saw something on Bloomberg saying that people pay $500 to attend club, a disco party online. You're in your house, the DJ comes and is charging you $500 for you to join his Zoom party. So we're organizing a Zoom meeting now. People are organizing a Zoom party, playing music that you would have played on your DSTV just to join and dance in your house. And you're paying somebody $500 to get access. So that's the trend that the world is going. So we need, as a church, I feel that we need to begin to talk to our young people to begin to harness the local problems that they are having, and begin to think about how can we reach more people. Because if this lockdown is going to stay for a while, you cannot, even if you're going to stay indoors, you have to be able to make money while you're still within your confines. And so health sector skills are going to be in demand after COVID-19, because the government is going to begin to think about, repairing our hospitals and looking at our health infrastructure. And then education skills. How can you help teachers and schools integrate into online learning, virtual learnings, and so on? And then we also need to think about food security, because we are going to have a food crisis after this issue. The North cannot farm. The South are not known to produce crops. So what then do we do? So this is a time that if people are thinking of going into businesses and what they need to do, what problems can you solve around providing food or food supplements, so that we won't have hunger crisis after this period? Thank you, sir.
All right, Sister Ini, I want to quickly come back to you before we begin, as we start winding down. I hear you, Brother Vincent. In fact, I want to share this. There's a friend of mine in one of the neighboring states. One of his friends during this lockdown went to different bakeries and bought over their rights. So every morning he carries about 800 to 1,000 loaves of bread and distributes in that area. And so for the past going to 3 weeks, he makes an average of 50 to 60,000 every day. So Sister Ini, how creative should we be in this era for our members? How creative should we be? Please unmute unmute. You are still on mute. Okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Well, I think at this point with the situation in ground, wow, we really need to be extraordinarily creative in reaching out. Because I've thought of it, good enough, you just mentioned bakery. I was just looking at it. Bakery, that's one of the things that people would really readily want available at this point in time. Other ideas, other things that you also would have. Now, there are people that are also locked in areas that they can't even come out. Now, this is a good example that you've brought of somebody taking bread and then is supplying. How about certain things, like maybe fast foods, for instance? They won't be able to sell at this particular point in time. There are condiments that people need, that they may have some grains in the house, they may have some other things in the house that they can use, but they are basic condiments, they are basic things that they need. So people need to be able to think, will I be able to package just maybe rice and every other thing that needs to be that will go with, if somebody is producing wants to make a fried rice, can I package that? And I know that as long as I'm carrying food stuff, I can go around and people will buy. Like take for example the palliative. It's really making people to begin to think. I'm just thinking there are different things. People are thinking, oh, we're getting 1 cup of rice, 2 cups of rice, or some are getting maybe paint rubbers and the rest. But there are certain things that goes with it. So at this point, people need to think outside the box. What do people really need at this point that I can package together and then I'm able to sell and make good income at this period, because there's a whole lot. A lot of hotels, like part of what Mr. Vincent has said is, a lot of people that have hotels at this period in time, they obviously are going to make money as well. People that are into agri, you know, I particularly love part of what Mr. Vincent said about which I would term the greenhouse farming, because the truth is we're actually faced with reality. That's an opportunity that is opening, and as he was thinking, my mind is just thinking outside the box that, wow, this is a huge gap that is going to come to play as soon as we come out of this pandemic, because the truth is we are not having the rain like we're up to. If you've noticed, I don't know, over this area where I am in the south, somehow we've not had rain, and somehow we're supposed to be in the rainy season. Good enough, we are still in the early stage of it, we are going in, but we don't know how it's going to be like. And because it has stopped farming, it has distorted it a bit, it means there's a huge opening there. You can't go wrong with food. That's one of the things that obviously, but at the same time, we must be able to think. We must be able to think that, how do I also deliver online? Taking it in terms of not just reaching, you may come back to people that are bankers, to people that are working in places. You know, I had this business idea those days that we used to do, and we call it Shop at Ease. So that I believe it runs in Lagos. There are people that still run that kind of business. You don't need to go to the market. People just sit and they place their order. So you can have like a form that you can display in your social media and the rest. Oh, I can help you do all your shopping. So while people are locked down, the people that are dead scared of going out. But you may have some other protective means of way of getting out, and you tell them, okay, give me your list. And the person produces all the list of things he or she wants to buy, and you add like a 20% percentage on it, and you go out there and you shop on behalf of those people. Now imagine if you have up to 50 clients in a particular estate. 50 is even small. You make what, if you're doing a paid time job, you may not even be able to make, considering the fact that at some point you may not need to go to the market every time somebody needs a request. You will have to buy this thing and actually store in your house. So you just pick from your house, give them the market price of it, and then you deliver. So we must actually be able to think of different means. The catering is there, the agri product is there, like maybe fish farming. That's another part that people may want to go into at this point. Poultry, we can't go wrong with it. The tomato product, all the things that has to do with food. And at the same time too, the health, drugs and the rest that we would need, because truth is, as long as we have the health, there are people that will still need medical herbs, medical things, they'll still need drugs and the rest. So I'm beginning to look in the estate where I live. I have to go quite a long distance to see a pharmacy. So already my mind is actually thinking, okay, I know I'm not a pharmacist, but if I get A, B, and C, we come together, we partner together. Can we put something in this estate that I know that everybody in this place will have to buy from us? They don't have to drive out, especially at this point when there is a lockdown. And we know that as long as it's pharmacy, as long as it's medical things, no matter the situation, they can't be affected. So I think it's actually a time that, and I would want to say that sometimes we just think we don't put it down in writing. One of the best way you can get your ideas out there is that God drops ideas every day in our minds, in our hearts. But the best thing you can do is to put it down. And as you put it down, every day you add to it to develop it. You know, we have something we call business canvas model. And you're looking at it, what are the value that I'm going to bring? Who are the people that I want to take this thing out to? Who are the channels? What channels am I going to use? What are the customer segments? What are the relationships? What are the key things that I need? What is the reason, black and white first? And then you do some calculation. Who can I partner with? And then you will check how much you would bring. Once you're able to get a full business canvas model out for that business, believe me, you'll be shocked at the end of this pandemic, the number of businesses that would have sprung up. But that's only for those who are ready to think outside the box.
Praise God. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. This is a quick one, so I'll go around quickly. Sister Moji, what preventive things can we begin to take now so that people begin to live healthy? Remember when you talked about self-care. So what kind of preventive things would you begin to advise our members and our people at this point to begin to take so that they'll begin to live more healthy, stronger and better? I guess I will bring that question later to Dr. Obasi and Dr. Joe. This is not a good time to go to the hospital. All right, so let me hear your thoughts on that.
Thank you once again, Mr. Dennis, or should I say Pastor Dennis. What preventive things should we take? Now we know that COVID-19 is more or less like a fluid-like illness. So what are the things that we do when we've got the flu, the common flu? Let me start from there. First of all, we stay hydrated. You take a lot of fluids. You keep and you rest very well. You stay where you calm your body down. You take good rest. You rest yourself very well. You take rest. You take a lot of fluids. You take I know abroad you could take things like warm drinks, like teas. They take soups. So if you can, chicken soup, pepper soup, anything warm that would clean and clear our respiratory tract and our sinuses. Another thing we can take as well is vitamin C, like I said. It's an antioxidant and it helps in the healing process. So you can take vitamin C to keep your body going and to help just as a preventive measure. So that's basically all. I know that when it comes to herbs as well, we have some local herbs, preparations that we take at home whenever we have the flu, anything that is taken when there is the flu. Some people boil ginger and then they take it as a drink. So that could also serve as a means of cleansing our system and protecting us against, because like I said, it's a flu-like our cold. What do we take when we have the cold? Basically, so it's the same thing. You just take preventive measures in that same respect. Another thing you can do is exercise. Keep yourself going. Exercise always keeps your body. Exercise will do you good. So you can't go wrong with exercise. So take walks, take little sprints around the house, walk around the estate if you can. So exercise yourself. Keep your heart rate going in such a way your body will keep on going. That's basically, and of course, basically it's your immunity. When your immunity is top notch, it will fight whatever virus, bacteria, disease that will come near you. So keep whatever it will take you to keep your immunity top notch. Keep your immunity top notch. There are some, if you want, you could just even place yourself on, there are some multivitamins you can take that just generally keep your body going and boost your immunity. So that's basically it. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Bassi, there's too much of fear in the land. How do we deal with fear?
I have to apologize, I think, for the challenges I'm having here. Let me apologize on behalf of the federal government of Nigeria. And this is not my own challenge. All right, dealing with, fear. First of all, fear comes from what you hear, and it also comes from what you see. What you hear from people, what you hear from the media houses, what you hear online and offline. What you see online and offline, those are the things that brings fear. So it's about images and the things that you hear. So you must be particular about the kind of information you are hearing. And you also must look at the person giving you that information. Fear and faith, they are the same thing. It's just that one comes out of building, an image or building a mindset based on false information or negative information. Reduce this. We've known enough about COVID-19 in terms of, the cause, where it started from, what is happening, all of that. And the information you have is more than enough. So just take it out. You don't need more information. And please let us stop peddling this information. I always tell people, you are very good at throwing information about things that don't matter. How many times have you thrown scriptures, peddle scriptures, online? Because your faith will be built based on what you hear. And so you have heard enough about COVID-19. I don't think there's going to be anything new, maybe apart from the vaccine, and then perhaps, the medications. But that's not what you should actually dwell, your hearts and your minds on. As much as possible, if you have any doubts, look for, a seasoned and also a professional to actually advise you and counsel you. I think that's that basically for the fear. So you now dwell more on, your scriptures, dwell more on the word of God. The word of God in itself is medicine. That's what the Bible lets us know. So you take the Bible, look for relevant scriptures that can help you in a time like this. And then, of course, also
Laughter is good medicine. Okay, it can also take care of fear. Is that right? And then as much as possible, also live in love. And so those are just a few strategies, with regards to dealing with fear at this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone. I guess 1 hour looks so short. We'll come up with another episode on Monday, but we'll now take not every one of us. We'll do a timetable so that we'll know when we can all come up. This was actually scheduled for 1 hour, so I guess I may just ask Pastor Sam. Pastor Sam, can you, in 1 minute, can you tell us in 1 minute the position of the church? And when I mean church, I'm not talking of Hermon City Church, the body of Christ in these times and in this season, as we wrap up for today. Your mic is off. Can you unmute? Okay, huh?
Well, the position of the church, I think we are in a position where, it's like the kingdom of darkness is, pushing the church to the wall. And it is now left for the church, because why I'm even saying that is, people are gathering almost everywhere, but it is only in the church that there's no gathering at all. And there's nothing wrong about that. We just need to know that, it's time we take our stand. The church is not 4 walls, because the Bible says our body is the temple of the living God. The meaning of that is anywhere we are, we can operate. We can now operate in our homes. A family can operate and still, make the name of the Lord known. The Bible talks about the church in the house of Aquila and Priscilla. So it's difficult, for people to know that, or not difficult. We need to know that no matter what is happening around, the church still has a voice, and that voice has to be heard. Like I was saying before, we have to use every social media handle to make sure that what we have been doing in church is still being done, so that everybody can stay connected and everybody can still worship the Lord. And I think that is what we need to know now. We might not gather via people coming together, but the truth is we are gathering in different locations. Families are gathering, individuals are gathering. So this is the right time. Everybody has to take advantage of what he or she has built over time and maximize the privilege we have as children of God, to do the things God will want us to do, in a trying period like the one we find ourselves. So I think that is what we are expected to do now, until when we see that the doors are open for public worship to start again. I think that is what I have to share.
Right, thank you, sir. Dr. Joe, medically, please, in 1 minute, what advise us to be doing now?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I want to advise every one of us to remain calm. Personally, I have seen that it's not as bad as we had thought initially. In many spheres, people now believed that as soon as it enters Nigeria, it was going to spread like wildfire. In fact, we didn't really know in 2 weeks where we would be. But here we are, by God's grace, like in Calabar, we are as if we are in a different country. So even in your home, it's not as bad as we thought in different parts of the country. So remain calm, keep praying, believe God, do the necessary things as has been ascribed by the World Health Organization. If you have to leave your home to do anything outside, remember to carry your hand sanitizer. At any point you make contact with anyone, please sanitize your hand. It's as trivial as even using the ATM. After doing those punches, please sanitize your hand. As you stick those monies into your pockets, you don't know who has used that money in the last few hours. Sanitize your hand at every point. Now, where you have access to water, there was a time I had to carry water and detergent in my car so that I would ensure regular hand washing. As much as possible, avoid contacts with people because now we are seeing everybody, most people are healthy carriers. Avoid contact with persons as much as possible. Continue in prayers and in faith, and all will be well. Thank you.
All right. The last question, brother Inyobong. There are so many rules coming from the government. So what's your thought in 1 minute? There are so many. Okay, I'm saying with this, there are so many things happening now. We are asked to stay at home. Some people want to obey, some people want to disobey, some people are protesting. What do you advise the body of Christ or the church right now, based on the several policies and pronouncements by the different governors?
Yes, Bible says, I think it says everybody should be subject to the higher powers. It says the powers that be are ordained of God. Most of the stay-at-home orders, the lockdown orders, so even though sometimes they may not have followed the strict constitutional and legal requirements, but the objective has been for our own well-being and safety. And if we obey, we stay safe. If we disobey, we find out that we might contract what might be too difficult for us. So I think it's better to just obey. It's better to stay safe and better to stay at home. I know that there are huge economic losses. There's so much to lose. But what can we do? It's only somebody who is alive that can make money. So I think even though they've not followed strict constitutional and legal guidelines, but I think the intention and the intent is for the safety and the well-being of the citizenry. So I think it's my advice is that we follow and obey the order, the lockdown orders when they come, the restriction orders, stay-at-home orders, and let's stay safe. And we just hope that very soon all of this will be over. Thank you so much, sir.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'm really very, very grateful. I think just to put it, and to say that we are in very trying times, but I believe what God says that this one would come to pass very soon. And very soon, by the time we come out of it, even though life has changed or things has changed, I believe that we'll be better for it. And I believe one thing that I saw in the scripture, that this one, I know, Paul writing to the Philippian church, he says, I know that this is for my salvation through your prayers and the supply of the Spirit. And one thing I admonish us to do right now, and all the brethren, that this is a time to reach out to God, and then through the supply of the Spirit, it will tell us what we need to do, both now and after. And I'm very, very confident that at the end of this lockdown period, and even in the new dispensation that is going to come up, it's going to be for our good. Every dispensation has always bettered something new and something different. So it's important that we understand what's the mind of God and what is the new direction that things are going. Sometimes people get revelation of what's going to happen, like in the case of Noah. But there are also other times that God uses a Pharaoh to bring it out, to a Joseph to interpret, and then you know what to do. So I believe that as believers, as the body of Christ, and as people, both as Nigerians, that this is not a terrible time, but it's a good time. And I believe that at the end of the day, it will turn out for our good. So once again, I want to thank us. Stay blessed, stay safe, and we'll see us on Monday again for those of us who will be on this show. So thank you, God bless you, and see you next week.